What's up guys, Henry Fong here, and today I'm going to walk you through one of my projects for like a typical bootleg style remix that I'll make before my sets, and maybe something that is more of a DJ tool that I'll send out to DJs so that they can play in their sets and stuff like that. So you guys might know me from some of my other songs like What's the Move with Knock2, my song Rave Tool, my viral Botadon remix from last year. So let's get into it. First things first, when I'm doing remixes, I'm trying to be really selective about the songs that I remix. That's kind of the first thing. I don't even start ideas unless I have a good feeling that the song is going to, work really good live and work good in my sets. So that's kind of the first things first. I put a lot of emphasis on what song that I'm remixing. I think a lot of people will just like to remix a song just because they like the song. But if I'm going to do a remix and put it out, I kind of want it to be something that's going to impact in the culture and that's going to work really good live. So a lot of planning and research goes into kind of digging through old playlists, digging through old sets and things like that to kind of come up with a song to remix. And on this particular one, I think Outkast's Way You Move, it's one of my favorite songs of all time. If you kind of grew up in the 2000s, and you guys heard this song, I feel like this one kind of hits home for a lot of people. And also too, when I was thinking about remixing this one, the tempo of the original was already at 126 BPM. So that kind of made it really easy to transition into a house tempo. So I was kind of thinking about that, and this song just kind of had all the hallmarks of something that I wanted to remix. It had the horn section, it had the 808s, the vocals were cool. So the whole remix idea kind of started around in the original. It says, "Can you feel that?
I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS?
I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass?" So to me, when I wanted to do a flip for the dance floor, I kind of wanted to center the whole song around the hook, not the original hook, but this particular vocal. And I wanted to kind of center the production around that because, I just felt like that was a cool phrase. And, if you're out on the dance floor and stuff and you hear that, I feel like, that's something that would work really good live. So that's kind of how I started the remix. And I got some of the stems from the original. So we have the bass guitar, the classic one. I like to preserve some of the original and the arrangement of the original, and then I usually like to just then make my own transitions into the build up and the drop and stuff. So I'll play you guys the breakdown here. It just comes out of the intro drums and it just goes into the classic kind of Outkast Way You Move sample.
I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass? But I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass? But I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass? But I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass?
As you can tell, I just looped that part over and over again because I think that's the coolest vocal ever. And then I started to transition into the build-up, and I'll play you guys the build-up, and then I'll play you guys into the drop, and then we'll break all that stuff down. So.
I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass? Bass, 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 bass. But I know y'all wanted that 808, can you feel that BASS bass?
That's the remix here. One of my big things about remixes is I like to keep the themes of the original intact, because if you stray too far from that and you just use the acapella and do your own production sometimes, it kind of loses the flavor. And the whole point of doing a remix is you want those familiar sounds in there. So when you start playing it, people are like, "Oh, I know what the song is," but it's kind of a different version of that. So the whole thing was based on the BASS bass vocal and then the bass guitar. So I took those notes, and as you can hear in the drop, I was trying to think of new ways to kind of transform that. And so in the drop, when I transition to the drop, I have those same notes, just a little bit different. So I'll play you guys the full bass line, and then you guys can see the first bass patch that plays, it's playing those same notes from the bass guitar, just in a different rhythm. So instead of boom, 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 it's going boom, boom, boom. And then I kind of just started write a new bass line, did a little fills. These are all Serums, just frozen. Once I have a sound that I know I'm not going to change it really, I freeze it. So the only one that's not frozen right now is the main lead sound, which I feel like I could tweak it a little bit better. So I kind of left it in MIDI for now. So let me play you guys all the basses together. that's basically all the bass line. So it's 4 different sounds with a sub going under the second lead sound. And then this is the sub. But point is, like, when I was thinking about writing this bass line, I went back to the original theme of the Outkast original, right? So that boom, boom, boom. So those 3 notes in there informs a lot about how I'm going to write the drop bass line. And so that's how I got inspired. And then, you know, I went from there, these first 3 things, and I started just filling things in, chopping things up, adding some cool fills and whatnot. So that covers the drop bass. And then I think one of the important parts of the song is the drums here. So let's solo the drums playing. So I actually use these drums from my Cymatics artist pack here. And I was kind of looking for that bass house UKG kind of shuffle drums. And I initially had just like a straight up like house beat with it, and it was kind of just missing some energy to it. So I found that like adding those extra jack and snares, the extra hats and stuff like that really filled up the song and kind of like come alive and give it that groove. So let's go into my artist pack here. I was flipping through some of the drum loops and stuff. And another cool thing about this pack is we have the drum loops broken down into stems. So if you don't like how it's mixed and you want to mix it your own way, you want to take things out. So I think it was this one. So that was the drum loop. And then I went into the loop stems here, grabbed all these out, and then I started building around that. So this is cool to have these separated like this. So this is the kick here. I always put a kick on its own channel because I feel like the kick, you need to have complete control over the kick in your mix because that's kind of the driving thing. And then all the other stuff is in another percussion group here. So I'll go through the drums and we'll see what makes up the drums here. So we got the kick. We have the hat from the drum stems here. Just like a typical like housey open hat. I sampled the hat from the original Outkast. Classic closed hat there, which comes from this. So it's that classic beat from the Outkast original Way You Move. I sampled the hat out of that. And then I actually have that loop playing through parts of the song as well too.
When you're remixing songs, do you usually try to find bits of like percussion or drum sounds that you can use like in there to kind of like make it cohesive and give it that feel of the original song?
Yeah, a lot of times I like going back into the original song and I like picking certain sounds out of there, even if they're just little drum sounds or whatnot, because it just kind of, you know, you're doing a remix. You want to keep some of those signature sounds intact to kind of just like preserve the integrity of the original, you know? And I just felt like that like little beat there, I know that's like so basic, but if you almost played that beat alone like that, that's going to bring some like nostalgia back if you know, everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
And then you add the boom, 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 and it's like, oh my God. So even just that little hi-hat here, layering that little hi-hat in, you know, that's a little detail, but that's going to kind of just give it that extra little character. And also, you know, it's going to provide a little layer. So on these drums though, the cool thing is these jack and snares here on these drums out of my pack. That kind of just gives it that UK kind of vibe to it and that extra shuffle to it. So I'll just solo just the perks alone again. And again, you guys can hear that all together. Like just having those extra jack and snares there kind of helps fill the space up a little bit. And then we got these little hi-hats running through here. You can hear they're kind of swung hi-hats. And you'll see why I like the drums in the pack here. Why we separated the drums like this is so you guys can add things in and be like subtractive or additive with it. So if you can tell here, there's some shakers too, but I don't add the shakers in until 8 bars in. You know, I could have played the shakers right away. I just felt like the shakers right away, it was just too much percussion right away. It still sounds good, but I just kind of wanted to hit a little more plain, a little more dry, and then save something for, you know, those next 8 bars. You know, that's always a balance, like in house stuff, is like how much percussion's hitting off the drop. Because sometimes pulling back a lot of percussion can work good, and then sometimes adding more percussion can work good. So sometimes you guys gotta experiment. Like I even experimented with taking this hat out here. Like I could almost run that too, you know, but I just wanted a little extra movement to kind of fill in the high-end information. And then I got another clap from the pack here too. just like nice clap for house, bass house, and then another little layer. And yeah, that really covers the percussion, but I feel like the percussion here is a big part of it's the percussion working with the bass line. That's the main part of the song, you know? So I'll slow that again. And then all together. And then after I kind of have that groove, I went back in, and I feel like you have to have vocals in the drops to like really make drops come alive, especially in like, you know, if you're making more like kind of bass house genre, you need vocals. It like that human element is what kind of really makes things come alive. So I went back in and I was like, okay, what parts of the vocal that I used from the Outkast song can I chop up? So, you know, obviously 808 and bass, like those words are pretty cool to like having like a, like to hear on the dance floor, I think. So
Bass.
I have that.
Can you feel that?
Can you feel that?
Bass.
Then I have some effects on here in the vocal chain. It's being saturated, a little overdrive, echo, and that's really it. A little EQ, some filters and stuff like that. But yeah, just mainly just a little overdrive and some reverb delays going on the vocals, nothing too crazy. I think the overdrive in this chain here
Yes, that's bass.
gives the little vocal a little bit of bite there. But do you see how I kind of place the vocal around everything? So if I turn the vocals off here, you can just play it nothing. Because if I just play the drop, there's not really anything from the original in there. And then I bring the vocals back in, and then it adds that human element and kind of just makes it feel alive. And then I ended the fill with the classic. I started bringing back in the horn riffs and then the full vocal. Feel that BASS bass. Another little detail too is these little breaths here. You can do this with or without the sample. I like to use kind of human breaths and things like that and sprinkle in like one shots, ad libs. But listen to this, like if I just play it with the breaths, because in the original it says boom, boom, boom. And that's like a small detail, but that's just like, for me, redoing that in the drop, I thought was really cool. Like just those little details and fills is what kind of makes the whole thing kind of start tying together and come alive. So those are the details with the vocals there. And then other thing, we have some effects going on, nothing too crazy, just some basic crashes, some crash fills, some effects from the original. Snare roll, there's really not much in the build-up. You know, you can see there's some snare rolls, some basic downlifters, uplifters. The build-up's pretty basic here. There is some automation going on in this part here. So I'm automating this Ableton dub echo, and I'm also automating the little altar boy here. So if you notice on the little altar boy on the build-up here, I thought it'd be cool to pitch it down versus up. Everybody always pitches it up, but for some reason on this vocal, it just sounded kind of corny. Hearing bass, 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 pitch up.
Bass. But I know y'all wanted that 808. Can you feel that BASS bass?
So for some reason, pitching bass down, like I thought that was cool because people don't really pitch down as much as they do pitch up. So I felt like that really gelled with the song. But yeah, it's super simple, guys. Like, again, on these bootleg type remixes and stuff, like I think about them as DJ tools, and I think about them as building things that are going to work really good on the dance floor. So I want to have that balance of keeping the themes from the original intact too. And that's why, like, when you guys are doing remixes, look back to the original production and figure out what parts are nostalgic maybe and what parts of the main themes. And then you can use those main themes in the song and you can build ideas, I think, that are more complete and that people really kind of cling on to. And again, you know, it all started with the bass riff. Those 3 notes, and then I went over to the bass and I was like, okay, cool, there's my bass line, you know? But yeah, that's about it. If you guys like some of the sounds in this pack, you guys can grab that in my Cymatics artist pack, available now.